a Russian tech and energy oligarch who was married to the mayor of Moscow at the time. Hunter then received $3.5 million in payouts from Valerina. She was not sanctioned after the invasion of Crimea.
Hey, JR. Spoke with your compatriot earlier, and pretty sharp guy, and we had a good talk. It was 3 or 4 of us on the phone. All right, a lot of people to say hi to, and only 1 minute. So I'm going to call in. I will say hi later, but you can't keep the hamster waiting. You can't keep a good hamster waiting.
I forgot about you, William. You ready?
I'm ready. Born ready.
All right, everybody. I'm sorry I was bouncing around today, and just got back home, and I just thought we have a call. I see all this great price action in the stock. Again, this is not to buy or sell. This is for our opinions, and for you listening to them, you take it with a grain of salt, and just 2 crazy guys just talking about finger motion and what we see in security fraud. All right, so William, I've been bouncing around all day. I heard the stock traded up to 581. It's pulled back here. Big buyers around, and my only thing that I like to start with is think about the poor bastard who shorted $1.5 million at $5. He's down over $1 million.
I'm sure he has staying power.
Oh yeah, that's what you want to stay into. Remember, people, when someone shorts, we have the chance, and everyone needs to write it down. You know this guy's short 1,540,000 shares at $5. We've been documented. You can actually see the days of selling it. It's all right here. I may be off by a quarter. I may be off by a nickel, but this is right around $5. Not many times you can actually get the actual number of a real short. We documented everything about these guys for a long time. All right, the first 200,000, whatever it was, 300,000, whatever he was short. Excuse me, that was below 3. So the new 1.1 million is short somewhere around $5. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt and just say $5.
I think he might be, $5. He might be worse, but yeah, go on. Average price.
Everyone gets to see. We all get to look into your account as the short. We can actually see you bleeding like a pig. So we all know his position. Most people never get to understand what's the short's position. I told you, we track it, mark it down, memorize it, and this is how you win. This is how the game is played. We know exactly where they're suffering. And right now, down 70 cents, you can see the attacks trying to knock it down quickly because obviously the red lights are going. All right, so either he's got to press his bet or he's going to start the cover. And if we traded 700,000 shares, and they're laying into it for sure. But think about it when he turns as a buyer, 1.5 million going to buy it, and there's no more selling. He by himself will destroy the naked short. Because when this short covers, and William can vouch for me on this one, he's not going to tiptoe in because he knows that the big short can fold at any time. So he's going to run in like a bull in a china shop trying to grab whatever shares he can get. So now, I told you the other day, we got handed the gift. This idiot short 1.5 million is the gift that is going to break the limp partners here. Because when he panics, he's just going to run and cover because his 1.5 million is going to be a bloody loss, but he doesn't want that other guy buying first. All right, remember, on the upside, it's infinite liability. So these guys know that, and when a short starts to panic, that's when you watch the stock go then. All right, and you have the proof. You've seen it, shortsqueeze.com. We documented. It's right there. We're not making it up. It's right in front of you. And for the gentleman, Tony Baloney, who said there was no short in the stock, where is that idiot these days, right? So, anyway, any questions before I think of other things to say?
I have one, but it's a deeper question. So go on with your other.
Go on with my ranting?
Yeah, go on with your rant.
I was out running around getting shots in my knee because my knee was bothering me. So again, I was a little busy. But again, we have time on our side. People keep asking about the S3. I never filed an S3. Everyone's telling me they're reading. They said that once it's approved, it'll be released in 72 hours. So this is a non-event. These filings, it's just the company's telling the SEC that they would like to raise money in the future. That's what the SEC. All the forms, people. This is a very common form. It's nothing unusual. So when it comes out, it comes out. But you know what? We started. It was 10, 12 days ago. I forget how many days. Each day goes by, we're getting closer, right?
Right.
And I think the shorts are in a panic because they know it also it's coming. So again, let them keep playing. The only way I see it out is up. So any questions?
Yeah. The main question that I have from offline from three people, can you talk about dark pools? Obviously trades go into them. But are those trades reported that at the close? Are they included in the tape?
No.
So what effect does it have on price?
It's in the tape, but you don't see it in the short sales. Like every day, the short sale number is always lower because those are all offshore exchanges. That's why Tom Rock's data is the best. All those dark pools, Tom Rock gets the short sales on all of them. Every time a dark pool is just an exchange, a different exchange. Okay, the trades exist. Okay, what they're creating is a fail to deliver. That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't really give a damn who sells me my stock when I want to buy it.
Right.
What they have to do, or what they're not doing, is they're using the market maker exception. Like, for example, Citadel is a market maker. Everybody else saw what Citadel's doing, so they all started to do the same type of thing. Virtue, and they all trade in these dark pools, the dark exchanges, where they can control the order flow. The order flow comes in.
Does it control the price?
They can't control the price. They control the price on the downside. They can push it down.
Right.
They can short them. Every order that comes in. Let's say orders are coming from E-Trade, going to Citadel. Citadel, they direct them to their dark pool,
right,
and they short them there. That's all they're doing. There's no one competing for that sell.
Does it hide buying pressure? If there is buying pressure,
they short into it.
Right.
That's how you suppress the buying pressure. Everything they do is a sell.
Is dark pool, is it kind of like just doing a big block trade in a way?
That's exactly, for those who don't understand it, a dark pool is basically, I'm shutting the public out or anybody else from participating in those order flows. That's right. It. That's all it is. So Goldman Sachs can sit there and get all these buy and sell orders. They can have their own dark pool. Basically, Goldman Sachs can only be trading with their own clients, right?
Right.
That's all it is. And the dark pools that you're seeing, Citadel gets order flows from, they pay for that order flow to go to their dark pool.
I see.
That's how it works. So they basically, listen, if I had to do a cross on the New York Stock Exchange back in the day, we had to call down and say, listen, we're going to cross 500,000 shares at $55. The specialist would say, okay, I'll let you cross it, but I want to short 30,000 on the print. And we have one guy in the pit that wants to short 20, and I would let them in. And basically he'll say, we're going to cross 500, and the specialist is going to short 30, and this other guy's going to short 20 or 50. So basically I'm doing 450, these guys are doing 50,000. So that's why they have their own pools.
Right.
You shut those people out.
Right. But net, it doesn't really change anything because...
Nothing. It's all the same.
It's all on the tape, so to speak.
It's all on. The only thing we get is the short number is different, and Tom Ronk gets the short number. They make a short number from these dark pools.
All right.
He paid all that information.
All right.
Everything has to be a ticket. There's a ticket for everything.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why they brought down that building, the Ameritrade building.
If the government shuts down, will that delay the S3?
I doubt it.
What does the percentage turnover indicate? And I think he's talking about on the real short squeeze, that data. I'm not sure what that means, actually. So you can.
I don't know what that means. I don't know.
You can skip that one. I don't know. It's not enough information. If Fingers runs, will GTI run?
Yes.
Fingers at
And why do I say that?
567.
Because it did it last time. I don't know. It's only if you ask me to go deeper in that question. That the only thing I'm basing it on is that last time they both ran together.
Okay.
Listen, I'm a firm believer in slow and steady. With the stock moving up like this, people got a chance. You remember this morning, it's the same pattern, people. They push it down every day. Hurry up. There's sellers that want to sell it lower. People stepped in and scooped it up, and they were rewarded for it. The stock went straight up. It went down to 516 this morning. That was the quick panic. Everybody get people to sell. Todd, I hope you remember this. I taught you this 20 times already. They always try to drive it down in the morning. It's the same pattern. So I wanted you to understand that.
I don't know who he's talking about, but did Frank slip up and speak about the S3 early and was not supposed to share the news? I'm not sure. I don't think anyone knows for sure.
I don't know.
I don't think anyone.
Listen, this is not the S3. This is not a major thing. I keep trying to tell
it's
people
not that. And
it's a non-event. It's a non-event.
Also, it's predictable. They filed on September 11th. It's 5 to 7 days after that. They put out the 8K. So I don't think Frank did anything wrong. And
listen, it's a non-event. If you believe that when the S3 is approved, okay, if you believe that when the S3 is approved that the stock is going higher, well, I don't think there's any problems with the S3. So it's just a matter of when it gets announced,
right? And
then good luck chasing it, because if you're talking yourself out of a trade, then I think the longer you wait, the higher it's going to go. That's my opinion, because other people think it's going to trade higher as soon as the S3 is announced. So when that's approved, I think the stock is really going to take off. But if you want to wait, knock yourself out. That's your business.
I think this question is flawed it's just flawed. Was there a deadline on the Alpine verdict? I don't know there's an Alpine verdict pending.
The Alpine's going out of business. They're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, as they say. It's going to sink. It's over with. And we talked about this with Richard. It's not legal advice. And we both said the same thing. These guys are dragging it out because they're hiding something.
Right.
Whether it's an asset, they need more time, something. Maybe they needed 6 months to move an asset. Maybe there's some strange law someplace when you're committing fraud that you can move assets in a certain period. I don't know.
That makes sense.
There's obviously something is very fishy. That why would you keep paying major law firms to represent you when everybody knows you're going to lose?
Makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't make it. What they're doing is insane.
So Jim Hill asks, do dark pools actually affect the share price?
No, they sell them short. All we're seeing is someone is shorting the stocks, and we don't know who's doing it. In the smaller cap stocks like GTII, we can actually see like Vertical Group, VERT, shorting the stock, as the only seller. They have to stand there out loud and show you who they are. And the NASDAQ stocks, all you're seeing is an exchange. That's all you're seeing there. We don't know what anybody's doing. But at the end of the day, if you're buying it, they need to deliver it. That's the problem in the whole system.
I don't know where we got 2 minutes, but Mike Cicerone says we're at 568 in finger.
It's not going to make a difference. 68, 69, 70, who cares? It doesn't make a difference. If you believe what you see and what we're posting, I believe in all of my heart that this is an opportunity that can change your life. The SEC ducking all these questions for MMTLP tells you how big the problem is. He knows. They all know.
Oh, yeah.
I told you, they all got exposed.
It was painful watching Gary Gensler. I couldn't watch very long.
It's painful watching the head regulator just lie. I don't know how someone in the Senate banking just doesn't say, enough of the tap dancing around. Give me we want answers. Enough. You're the regulator. We want to know what's going on. That's all they have to say. Cut the nonsense out. It's a simple question. You did a blue sheet investigation. We have the email that you said you were doing it, that they did it already. What's the answer? What's the number? That's it.
This is a question, not my opinion, just a question. Apparently, Border says $50 is the max in finger when it squeezes. What are your thoughts? I don't know if he said it. It's just I'm reading a question.
Ask him.
Ask him.
He's obviously he's been in the short selling game for how long?
I don't know. He
Someone
seems
come back
to
and give me that answer. I've been doing this 23 years. So if you think he's right, what can I say?
Yeah. My own thoughts, I'm not speaking for him. I think you should be managing your money on the way. Get money off the table in finger as it goes up. But in a squeeze, if you add in a squeeze, the stock can go really high in a spike. But don't trade everything for the spike. Don't trade everything for the spike.
Listen, I told you 1,000 times. Get your money off the table, your original investment as it starts to go. Sell if you got 1,000 shares and you paid $3 for it, 1,000 at 7, 100 at 7, 100 at 14, 100 at 21. You should have all your money off the table, and you got 700 shares. Whatever happens, happens. And you can keep tiptoeing out wherever you like. Never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. So don't sit here and call us up later on and say, oh my God, the thing went up and straight back down. Don't turn it into GameStop. Don't turn it into AMC. When the stock goes, you make your tiny sales all the way up, and you can stay longer, and hopefully you can get a higher sale. The higher sale will bring in your average price up. That's how you got to look at it.
I'll read this because I think it's in fun. If the SEC is shut down with the government, they'll just forward the phones to Goldman Sachs.
That's a good one. That is true.
Or Citadel.
So I just want people to know that I did a stupid thing for fun about where the price was going to close, and everybody was right, 575. But I copied Tara Bull. She has 500,000 followers. I don't know what she says that anybody would ever follow her. So I keep asking her questions, waiting for her response, because that just shows you what's wrong with Twitter and all these message boards, that someone can have 500,000 people following. I don't know where they're from. The man on the moon, I guess, is following people like that. Or like the Kardashians. What we're reporting on, I believe, is super important to you and your family and your children. And to have, 13,000 people, whatever the hell it is, I can't remember, 13,000 people, it's a disgrace. Not that I'm looking to make any money selling ads. I don't do any. I could give a rat's ass about it. But I've been educating people for a long time. And if you waste your time following someone like that, good luck. You deserve everything that happens to you. I just find it. And we need people to stand up and fight. You don't have to support any stock that I'm in. I could care less. But you need to educate yourself.
You have more followers than I do. I'm yellows. You
can have my followers. You can inherit mine. I look at it as a disgrace that the American people who are all worried about protecting their family, their finances. And don't get me wrong, I'm not easy to find in this world. But, I just find it that educate yourself about this. You don't need to call me. You got a problem about dark pools? Go on Google and hit it up and get your answers.
Yeah.
Educate yourself. It's your money. Don't take my word for it. Go look.
So, not legal advice says, as regarding Alpine, as far as Alpine is concerned, they are dead men walking, but he thinks they are seeking asset protection offshore. Legal proceedings are ongoing. He's waiting for a brief shortly.
That is the easiest thing to speak. When I spoke with Richard about that, we all said the same thing. Why are they paying lawyers to drag this out? There's no reason. Obviously, they're trying to protect something that the SEC or someone can grab from them.
Right.
That's what they're doing. There's not even a question.
Would a Bloomberg terminal data match Tom Ronk's data, I guess?
I don't have a Bloomberg terminal.
They're very expensive.
I don't know. They're very expensive. I don't know. I've always felt that, listen, I was trained, and I say it again, I'm just a numbers person. I memorize numbers, I remember trading patterns, and that's what I do. I don't care what a company does. I don't need to research it. Obviously, we all know what companies do for a living doesn't make a difference in the fraudulent market. They can turn companies that have great businesses, everything going on, and just destroy them. It's just amazing. For example, I saw something this morning. MULN said he had a very strong balance sheet or something like that. The stock went straight down. I mean, who the hell's selling a 44-cent stock? I mean, they're just out of your mind, trading it, playing with it.
I mean,
either you own it or you sell it.
It's obvious. Thousands of CEOs have really bad ideas.
Everyone has a bad idea.
On the OTC. So this is an interesting question. Who creates the counterfeit? Is it the hedge fund, the criminal, or is it the broker-dealer or the prime broker? It seems like people must know they're taking fails to locate.
Everyone knows that market maker exemption is the gateway, right?
Right.
So the hedge fund who has the market maker exemption, whether they're using someone else's license, okay? I pointed that out before. Direct access. Wedbush will sell you direct access, that is, use their market maker license into the equity markets if you compensate Wedbush. So Wedbush has the license and everybody's feeding off of their license. So they let these criminals come in. That's how it happens. So once it comes into the system, they create it, and then it just funnels through all the channels you talked about. The prime broker is just guaranteeing all the trades done by the criminal. That's all he's doing. The prime broker is selling, that's the counterparty risk. That's the other side of this trade. When the criminal goes belly up, the counterparty is going to be Jeffries. They assume the liability. That's how it works.
I can't verify these facts, but it's interesting. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard own 89% of the S&P 500, and they want to scoop up more homes in America. Seems like these shorts are our way to financial freedom. So the first part's factual, second part's opinion, and it's not a question.
I agree. My friend was buying homes for BlackRock in Orlando, hundreds of homes. Then he has a team of people that paint them, clean them up, and they either rent them out or they flip them. And they've been renting them out for the most part, he said, for a long time. So they've taken all the houses, the extra houses off the market, and you just, the prices just keep going up. That's just what they're doing. They dried up all the supply. There's no sellers. If you sell your house, you can't buy another one. That's everybody's kind of stuck. Unless you have, money, cash in your bank, or you can pay for these things in cash, no one's really moving around.
Okay, here's a relevant post, and I think with your skills you can help him. he had purchased the October 8 calls at 40 cents. He's selling them for a profit, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. What's your thoughts on buying more shares or alternatively buying the 10s or 11s?
I said before, if you bought options, even if you make 20 cents on them, okay, you bought the 8s at 40 cents, they're 55, 65. So let's say you sold them at 65 tomorrow, right? You're making 25 cents. If you were to buy the 10s at, let's say, 50 cents, using just the profit, your cost basis on your investment would only be 25 cents or $25. So if you bought 10 of them, your cost would be $250. That's all you're risking, and you have the right to 1,000 shares at $9, whatever it is.
Okay. So you're saying basically maybe roll up to the calls and play for free.
You roll up if you could. So what I would do tomorrow, I would do it right now, is you take your options you pay 40 cents for, and put them out there for sale at 70 or 75. Maybe you sell 5 at 70, 5 at 75, or 5 at 80. Split it up. If the stock continues to go moving up, your options will be sold. Then you turn around and use the profit that you made on those calls and buy a junk call. That's what we call it, a gamble, a roll of the dice call, whether it's the 10s or the 11s, for free. And don't come back until October, whatever the hell they expire, whatever month it is.
19th or 20th, something like that.
October 20th. You have a free shot, no risk. The world can end. And you can't lose money because you took your money off the table. That is a perfect way to trade.
Thank you.
You may lose the profit, but you're not going to lose any of your original investment. If you can do that, every time you trade in all your options, wherever you go, use that strategy. You're going to lose 8 out of 10 times. But the 2 times you hit, you're going to make a lot of money and you have no risk on the table. So imagine getting 10 free shots and hitting 2 of them and say, oh my God, I only had 10 calls, but you know what? At the end of the year, I made $38,000 on owning calls in 2 stocks because the stocks went to the moon. And that's the way you play for the home run swing. If you think the stock is going to move only up $1 or $2, not every stock has this potential that we're seeing in finger motion. So you may be able to, I wouldn't advise that in a stock that you feel is only going to move up for $1 or $2. That is something NVIDIA is something that you can do this to because it trades like crazy up and down all over the place. If you have those big volatile trades like in NVIDIA, then you could, that's where the cheap option play works. But if a stock that doesn't move that much, you can't do that.
I got a lot of not a lot, I'd say 6 phone calls saying that we made an arithmetic error yesterday, and I'm bad at arithmetic.
I think it was with my options.
Yeah, 5,000 times 100.
It was 500,000. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I was so excited when I heard it. That's why I jumped at it. I saw it the other night, and I just didn't know how to correct it.
Right. So
reminded me.
I don't think we did it on purpose. I should have caught it.
I did it by accident. I did it. I was so excited that everyone was calling me up trying to buy these calls that I jumped at it. I thought about it later on.
I mean, it's...
Hey, I just made a mistake before. I put up the call. The call was at 3.5. I was supposed to put up 3.45. I had to delete it, put it back up again. So we make mistakes. I have big fingers, and I hit these little keys every once in a while. I apologize.
Fingers, yeah. So how much longer can MMTLP hold off? Do you think it'll settle it? When will they pay something?
Okay, this is my last time I'm going to address this, and I apologize.
All right. Yeah.
No, listen, you have the Senate banking grilling the SEC on your security. They're not grilling him on finger motion. They're not grilling him on GTII. It's MMTLP. If you do own it, get off your lazy ass and call everybody on the Senate banking and keep bringing it up. And all you need them to say is, hey, how about getting a direct answer from the SEC How many shares do people own? How many counterfeit shares? They did the blue sheet investigation. It's very easy. Just read them the email from the SEC to FINRA. Keep calling them up. Stay in their face. They work for you, and they will get the answers. The SEC's in a panic on this thing. They're in a panic. They're going to have to clean this up. There's no way around it.
And what are the odds it's the only company that has been attacked by?
Oh, it's absolutely the only company on the exchange that has this problem.
One investor is asking, is it possible that there's over 1 billion counterfeit shares in Kodak?
Yes. I had the number on it. It is over 1 billion shares.
So there you go, Rosa. If you're a Canadian citizen, can you call the SEC to complain?
Why not? They're not going to bite you. You're an investor. You bought the stock. I don't care where you're from.
This is a good, I don't know if it's a good question. It struck me as a good question. Has there ever been a CEO who has aided a short squeeze, or are they too scared to upset Wall Street?
There's been a bunch of them that done it, that you mean helped squeeze the shorts, right?
Yeah, but
yeah, they do it in these they do it in a weird way. They kind of, you got to find the needle in the haystack and try to figure it out. That's the hard thing. The guy from Taser from years ago, he helped, he fought, and, behind the scenes, this guy was doing all the right things, and his stock got squeezed. There's a company called Overstock. I think the CEO of that company was actually helping to squeeze the shorts, right?
Yeah.
I forgot his name, Patrick something. I forgot his name.
Yeah, right.
He helped.
He knew you when you had hair.
Easy, I'm growing it back. I'm like a chia pet now.
That's why you were at the doctor. You're getting.
I'm getting fitted for a new toupee.
Oh gosh.
Listen, when we have our victory party, I'm going to walk in with the worst toupee, and I want to see who has the balls to come up to me and say that's the worst toupee ever.
Knock it off your shoulder.
Because I put it on crooked.
Is Borders working with you, or is his agenda set?
I don't even know the guy.
Yeah.
I spoke to him one time. He yelled at me. That's all I know. And I said, "Don't yell at me. I don't even know who you are." I don't know. He sounds like a nice guy, but I have nothing. I know nothing what he does. It's not my thing. I've been following two stocks since everybody probably knows me. I've been here for 5 years in one and 3 in the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I bullshit about other names that I hear or see something going on just because it's Wall Street. I just can't sit and say the same thing. I sound like a broken record, right? Other than that, I do not chase my tail. I sit. I made the determination I'm going to sit and finish this off. I was a trader. I traded so fast, you guys wouldn't even, you guys would be buying it. I already been sold the position and be 5 stocks down the road. That's how fast I played. I go into a stock, make a big bet, make myself 30 cents, 500 calls is $15,000. I couldn't care less what happened to the stock. I went to the next one.
Well, that's actually relevant to what we're going through here. When we first got involved, it was all about one play, sort of. But now there's several, so there's no need to get all greedy and try to get the top on finger. Take a good profit, and there's other stocks coming. So,
well, I agree with you on that, William. But when you worked 3 years or 4 years in exposing a short and putting all the work in, I'm a firm believer again. Never turn a winning trade into a losing trade.
Right.
But when you have an opportunity, and I told you I forked up many of them. I don't want to use the F word. You can't get as many as I did. I remember buying a stock, Cheeseboro Ponds. I told you about it. and I forget what year it was, and I made my first $20,000 trade in my personal account on the options on this thing intraday. Everyone was high-fiving me. It was a great trade. You made $20,000. We're going out, all that stuff. We went to dinner. The next morning I came up, it was up $35. So if I stayed, I probably would have made $350,000 instead I made $20,000. So instead of a winner, I was looking to jump out of a window because I was dreading going back to work because there's going to be 300 people making fun of me. So, I mean, that happens to everybody. So I had no idea that it was going to continue. But in something where I follow finger, I can't tell you to stay. You got your own family things, but I look at this as, to me, this is teed up to be a Volkswagen short squeeze. That's what it tells me.
So that's the other dictum. Let your winners run. Don't cut your winners.
That's the hard thing to do. Yeah. That is the hardest thing to do. And that's why I keep telling you, if the SEC is listening, I want investors to take profits as the stock goes up. Protect your family. Sell it a little at a time. You get an average price on the way out. So let's say you started selling it at 7, all the way up to 500. Let's just make up a leave number and say, oh my God, I made, and my average price on all those sales is going to be $230. On all those sales, up, down, whatever you did. And you say, well, I didn't get the top. I sold 100 at 498. I got as close as I can to the top, and that brought my average up from 200 to 230 on all my shares. That's how you get an average price. You're not going to be near the top because you've been selling as it goes. But you're never going to lose this way because you keep taking money off the table. As long as you got your original investment off the table, you are a winner. Breaking even on Wall Street is a good thing. It teaches you, let's say you were in this stock and it turns into a GameStop or it runs to 500 and it pulls back down on you and you didn't make the sale. You're always going to remember this idiot telling you to make sure you make small sales all the way up, right? You're never going to do that again, correct? After you live through it, you'll understand it. And people in AMC and GameStop, unfortunately, didn't know how to do what I just told you to do.
That's going to be on your tombstone. Never turn a winning trade into a loser.
No, my wife has already got it picked out already. It's going to say born to win but lost.
Oh, gosh.
I actually saw that on a guy's knee. I couldn't stop laughing at him.
Ryan Edberg, and I'll give you the answer, Ryan, but I'm going to put it out to Ham for whether he says yes or no. The answer is contact busy brands. Ryan's question is, who would you contact and how do you get Ham on a podcast? I have a guy who would love to have Ham. He's got close to 300,000 listeners. They're not totally stock market people, but would Ham say yes to educating them?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, Ryan, just contact Busy Brands.
Get in touch with Busy Brands. He'll reach out to me.
That's Ryan Edberg, like the tennis player, Edberg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No problem. Yes, I have no problem. Listen, I keep trying to tell people like Tara Bull and these people, how do you not wake up these people? You're all being robbed, whether it's your pension. If you look at it, the stock market gets these huge volatility swings, right? You see that yesterday the market was collapsing, and today someone's out there buying it back up. So if you have a half a brain, you sit there and say, wait, the world was ending yesterday. Today it's settled it back down. It's all okay now. What happens is the shorts are covering, and that's what firms the market back up. You get some shorts panicking, and then you get some longs thinking it's the bottom, and they start to buy it back up. I posted it yesterday. Short the rally, buy the first dip. As it goes down, don't buy the first dip. You buy the second dip, and the market rallied from down 300 to almost unchanged yesterday. And you got to carry through today. So the market will run out of steam again, and then it'll start to turn down. So you got to be careful if you have any of these big cap stocks. start moving to the sideline. You have to sell it all at one day. Sell a little at a time.
A lot of people are pointing out, and I think it might be Borders stock, NVOS is up 45% in the aftermarket. But whatever, if you want to get distracted, get distracted.
Listen, I'm not a penny stock trader. This is not my game. I don't. That's not my game. So, congratulations, Dan Borders. He's a great guy. I spoke to him one time. I really don't know him, and that's about all I know about him.
Okay. How do you know that the increased naked short for the real one, 1.1 million shares? How do you know it's just one short? The question comes.
Because there's not many idiots that would do this. Well, just look at it this way. When you short a stock or you buy a stock, you tell people to buy it, right? The shorts do the same thing. But do you think, listen, if it's just one person, then we hit the lottery tenfold. Because if there's 5 people here, 4 of them are going to panic shortly and they'll drive each other and kill each other. That's the best thing. If there's more than one, it's better.
I'm going to ask this question differently. How easy is it to set up a market maker? Are they well funded? Why are there so many of them?
No. They have no money.
So is it easy to set up then? Just on Bob's bank?
License, go apply for your license, get a prime broker, become a market maker. You can just go through just go read the SPC and FINRA. Go read what it takes to become a market maker.
Right.
Alpine and the Kramers probably had $2 in the bank, leveraged these LLCs to the hilt. And when the stock ran up, I said it every day, there's got to be a red light going on because these guys they have no money to meet the margin call when it went to $9. And they drove the stock back down, and we all said the same thing. How is this possible, right? Well, we were right. It was impossible. They had no money. Alpine was basically free riding on the short side. The DTC caught them, and they basically needed to put up funds, insufficient funds. It's like if you buy a stock and it goes up, unless you pay for it, you can't get the proceeds.
Right.
That's called free riding. They did it on the short side. They were selling stock and had no money to put up the margin. They attacked it down as fast as they could, all right? And then they tell the DTC, hey, wait a second. It was $9. It's $2 now. We don't need any more money. But they needed to pay for the past trades, and they didn't do it. That's what busted them. So I was right. The DTC has a red light going off when they catch these criminals. These guys were jeopardizing the whole financial system in GTII. And the DTC caught them. Now they want to shut them down. Now the second part of this happens. What happens to the mess? And I think that the SEC and FINRA and everybody, they're waiting to get in here and shut it down to see what the mess is they left behind. It's like a tenant. You rent out your house. You finally got them evicted. Now you're going to go into the house and see what they did. Most of the times they broke all the walls, stole all your appliances, and it's a shithole, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. The same thing with Alpine here. And you have the proof. It's right there. I can't post it anymore. I posted it 7,000 times. The DTC told you. That's impossible. The DTC never speaks. You know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to dig up those old press releases where the DTC said everything's fine. Don't worry. From 2006 or 2003, I forgot what year.
If the market collapses, there's a lot of talk of the market collapsing, the S&P losing 25% or more. What happens to these stocks, GTII and Finger? Well, you can't predict, I guess, but...
I will predict it. They're going to go up.
Okay. All right.
I told you, the stocks that have the big shorts in it, when the market gets ugly, everybody runs to protect whatever money they have. So the people that are giving these guys leverage are going to pull in their risk and say, listen, I know I lent you $10, but I want $5 of it back. And then you're going to say, well, I need that money for my margin. Give me my $5 back tomorrow. Then once they pull that back, everything starts to unwind for the shorts, and they have to start covering their positions. Once they start, they can't stop.
Ahmed Akel asks if you saw the large buy orders yesterday. He says it was him, and he's also buying in size today.
I love them. Thank you. I think you're on the right path. I hope you understand it, and I think it sounds like you do. And I think that I think you're going to be well rewarded shortly.
NVOS is now up 68%. Let's see. It's some sort of announcement. I would play that carefully, but I don't know anything about it.
Wait a second. So I don't know. The NVOS was 50 cents the other day.
Well, they signed a master $1 billion collateral transfer through BlackRock Trust. So I'm not sure why that's going to somehow make it worth so much more.
Listen.
But I don't know.
Everybody in it. Good luck. I can't. I don't have time to follow it.
Yeah. So one gentleman, RC LaBelle, bought shares at 19 cents, and that's great. And she's going to flip it out to buy more Finger and GTI.
Well, listen, you don't have to. Listen, if you believe it's going to go, Dan's got you in the stock, and he's a good man, so yeah, listen to what he has to say. I don't know anything about it.
I don't know either, so I can't say.
Ask him where he thinks it's going. Figure that out. Or I look at it this way, when the ducks quack, you feed them. That's what we were told.
Well, that Luke Guida said that earlier in the call. Quack, quack, quack.
I mean, when the ducks are quacking, that's when you sell it.
I meant to say that to you, but my brain doesn't work that well anymore. Should we see aggressive shorts tomorrow, since it's the last day of the quarter, last day of the month?
I forgot about that. Well, listen, it's the last day of the quarter. If you have money if you invested in the short fund and you see your stock going up, you didn't lose a little bit. You're losing a lot.
Right.
The stock, even though we've seen it trade to 8 and we got to 7, they didn't sell that much at the top. Remember that. Whenever it got up there, they drove it down faster. If you go back and look, if you want to do a study, these guys are so stupid, they do most of their sales at the lower levels because they're trying to break the stock. They didn't sell that much. Let's say they sold 40,000 at 719. I don't think it was that much. I'm trying to remember. It was like 40,000 shares. And then when it got to 719, they sold 40,000 shares. If they sold them all, it could have been someone flipping it. And they drove it down to 4 and were blasting it at 4. They blasted it at 5 again. All the same patterns, right? All the stock sales are below. They're not up high. They're down low. They love to give away the money. I keep telling you that.
Well, it's not their money.
But that's what they don't care about. The only problem they have is that when the feds show up after they get blown out, the rats will be jumping out of the window, and so whoever signed off on this LLC is going to be the fall guy, and he'll go to jail. Everyone else will run. He'll rat out everybody else involved, and that's how these things end. Just go look at Credit Suisse. That guy who got caught on the long side ratted everybody out. Don't look at J.P. Morgan, the guy caught for spoofing. They all ratted on each other, so they didn't go to jail. Once you say jail, they all start running.
You only have to get one of these guys in jail for 20 years. The rest will stop doing it. They're all...
Stop immediately.
They're all, not manly men.
But... well, they will be after they go to prison. If you want a real man, when they come out of prison, grab one of those guys.
A lot of thank yous, a lot of comments like that. So have run out of real questions, it looks like.
Well, I just wanted to jump on because I was out all day, and I heard everyone was so excited the stock was going up. And again, the slow.
What's the volume today? Did you look? Can you look? I can't.
788.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Well, They're not covering, that's for sure.
Is any volume in dark pools, so it would be higher than the 788?
There's probably some volume that'll be added later on to the composite total volume, yeah.
Yeah.
But the added at 788, if you look at Doze's report later, his numbers will be cut in half. So I think that the dark pools are included in this volume right now.
I see.
So look at everyone. At 5:30, Dozer puts up on Twitter the naked short number reported by FINRA. The volume is going to say right now, I'll say it's going to be 405,000, and the naked short's going to be 325, something stupid like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, wait, those numbers are in half. That's because the dark pool isn't reporting the short sales. Numbers are different. Just go look at Tom Bronk's numbers are very different than the FINRA numbers. They're higher.
I see. Oh, I think I see. What are the odds of Kodak squeezing soon?
Listen, once the shit hits the fan, all these things will start to pop.
If the
MMTLP could create an earthquake in the equity markets. Now, since we've been in the front line with them, I think that the two stocks that we attached to is MMTLP, GTII, and Finger. That is the front line. Actually, I'm helping fund the movie, and I told you the stocks that are going to be in the movie. I can guarantee you, Finger Motion is going to have a big part in it. William, did they contact you?
Yeah, they're going to interview me. I'm going to be a major part of that documentary.
We're going to have you sing the national anthem in the beginning to kick off the show. I think Anna's going to be on it. They're going to see her also. And there's a whole slew of celebrities that we hooked them up with that will be doing interviews for the documentary. And, it's all good. So, again, it takes a little time. Things will happen. And, we're not going away. Again, for the people that think that we're pumping and blah, 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 we've been calling the police for 3 years straight outside their door, screaming with a bullhorn. The only people that are more crazy than us are the criminals here because we're calling the police and they don't even run away. That's the sickest part.
Is if the AMC crowd came over, would that make any difference in Finger? Listen,
again, these people they're destroyed mentally. They have no idea. I've said it, and you said it something before. Sometimes you got to sell your loser and move along. Try to make money back.
Yeah.
I've done that 1,000 times where I've taken a bath in something. And it's okay. Listen, I lost $23,000. I got $4,000 left. Give me my $4,000. And you know what? Every day I chipped at it, trying to make 500, 200, 800. And you turn around after 3 months, you say, "Oh my God, I'm back up to 25,000." If I sat there and just watched the rest of it disappear, I would have never had the opportunity to play again. I know everybody doesn't have $1 billion to play. I got it. We all know that. All right. So sometimes you have to think like that. And getting rid of a stock that's been hanging around your neck and just been dragging you down sometimes, whether it's Finger Motion, GTI, whatever it may be, if it's dragging you down or you're really desperate for money, you have to give up. That's just the way it is. I've done it myself. I've given up, and then the stocks take off, and then I'm really pissed off. But then there's times where I gave up, and the stocks went lower. So it's just, it works.
I had a manager that taught us you don't sell, whether it's up or down, unless you have something that is better. So sometimes that happens. AMC's down, it's dead, and now this is acting. And you take a big loss, your eyes are focused now. You're not going to make a stupid trade. But anyway.
Listen, again, those people need to figure it out for themselves. If that's their first rodeo, they're in a tough spot because they're sitting here. The CEO's moved on with his life. He's sitting here. He's cashed out. He's done all he can. The shorts control it, and it's a deadly game now. That doesn't mean that I think they could still pop, but I'm not sitting around waiting for it. I'd rather move on. That's how I feel.
Ex Matador says that you told him last year to get out of CEI. He wishes he had listened. That's Ex Matador.
I screamed at people so that the guy wouldn't do anything. I tried. He was,
Yeah.
They don't want to help. These people don't want to do things, and they just start. Look at what's it called, CELU. Just go back and look. They did a raise of money at 80 cents. I screamed, and I was in the guy's office. I actually love the people there, but they have no idea about fraud.
I wonder if people aren't selling counterfeit shares and selling stock that doesn't exist, how your predictions can be so accurate. I guess you just get lucky.
I saw them. They signed a deal with Yorkville, and they took in a couple of $1 million, and the stock, I said, and they got a ton of warrants. I said, this stock is never going up because of these characters. And they actually did more money at 50 cents or 45 cents with more warrants. They lowered them, and the stock is 23 cents. The company's going to get delisted from the NASDAQ over the funding. Over getting money, the company's going to be delisted. How's that one?
Yeah.
And it's 22 cents. And they're working on infectious disease, and they're a spin-off from Biogen. I don't know if any story's crazier than that one. And yet, I wouldn't buy that with your money because these guys are under complete control of the criminals. It's like Dracula staring in the guy's eyes and just making him sign everything. That's what he's doing.
Well, they're telling them what they want to hear.
We'll give you more money. First, you're going to reverse the stock. We'll give you more money, and that's what's going to happen. Straight down she goes.
And then when they're challenged, we're not shorting it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
It's the same pattern over and over again.
Can you make money in Finger even if you only own a few shares?
Yes. What I described before, I don't care if you have 10 shares. You sell 100 at 8, 100 at 14, 100 at 20. You'll have all your money off the table, and you'll own 7 shares for free, and you can let it go. Let it go as high as you can go because you only have 7 shares. But imagine selling 7 shares at $200. You'll have $14,000 then.
Right.
Would that be happy for you if you own 10 shares? 10 shares can turn into $14,000. And that's getting all your money off the table that you bought it at. So pick the math any way you want to shake it. I don't know your positions, but you need to follow the program and learn how to trade like a professional. Professionals don't buy stocks at $7. Watch them go and watch it go all the way up to 1,000 and say, wait, sell my stock at $9.99. They don't do that. I've done it for 1,000 people. They sell it the way I just told you to do it. I didn't wake up one morning, eat my Cheerios, and say, "Oh my God, I should trade like this." I did the orders for everyone. I watched them buy the stock. As the stock started running, we sold it all the way up. I even did the same pattern for short sellers. We shorted stocks, and as they kept going higher, we averaged up. So when the stock went back down, we got a higher average on our short sales. I told you I started shorting U.S. Surgical at $22. My last sale was $122. I was the biggest short seller on the street in that stock. And I lost betting, buying puts on it like 30 times in a row. I never made a penny. That's how hard it is on a stock that's going up like that. You never know when the bell's going to ring. When it hit 122, then it felt like a brick. But I ran out of money at that point. I couldn't do it anymore. Or I gave up. I forgot what I did. But I was 0 for 30. 0 for 30 buying puts. And I was the short seller.
If you own 2,100 shares of Finger, is that enough to make some money? How would you trade it?
Yes.
This is from Lafi Hatum.
I just described it to you. I don't know if you paid $4 for it and you start selling it at $7.50, $8.50, $12.50. what did he say? He owns 2,400.
2,100.
So if you could figure out a way to sell 600 of those shares and get down to 1,500, and actually with those sales of the 600, make back your money on 1,500, and you have them for free. That's all you can ask for. That's how you really make big money. So calculate it. Say, okay, if I want to sell 600 shares, if I sell some at 7, you get back 700. If you sell 100 at 10, you're going to get back 1,000. If you sell 100 at 14, you get back 1,400. You say, oh my God, those 3 sales got me back my whole investment. Whatever, I don't know what you pay for it. So you figure that out.
Somebody liked my old streaming software better. I don't know, Latinum. I don't know. This has some advantages, but it's not as great. We'll figure it out.
Just listen, but let KYP know that I got cortisone and a gel shot. As soon as it takes hold, I'm ready to come to Brooklyn.
KYP,
better get ready.
KYP says she's not as scared of you.
I'm afraid of her. That's why I'm talking shit from 100 miles away.
She's still got 2 good knees.
Tell her I'm going to give myself a flat tire on the Bell Parkway so I don't show up.
So you're not going to answer this, but several questions. What do you think about Vocal?
I can't fight 3 battles at the same. It's too hard. So, we'll circle back. I told you my daughter owns it at 80 cents. My friends will own it. My other friends down $3 million in it. There's real money there. And you know what? That's something the CEO has to fight and get the fight going himself. He says he is, so let's see him do his part. And, we'll revisit it down the road. Someone is saying that your wife is a pistol, born to win, but lost. Hey, listen, my wife makes me wear a suit to bed every night and puts fresh flowers on my chest.
This gentleman got 2 new knees 5 weeks ago.
Wow, that's what I want to hear from him. I hope I can withstand the pain. I'm a sissy when it comes to pain.
And Skinny Whale is asking you, how is your wife doing?
She's doing very well. She got a concussion. Thank you. She's doing all right. I tried to take her to get her committed, but they didn't take her away from me, so I got her back.
So when Mr. T's asking who in your judgment has better hair, you or me, Ham or William?
Well, William's got that beautiful flowing, flowing, like it's cascading.
I've got the Irish driveway, so you don't know that.
They call it the power alleys, they call that.
Yeah.
I actually held on for a long, long time. The longest member of my family, I held on. And then all of a sudden, the tornado came to town and got me.
Perry Cooper has 700 shares of Finger from 250. What would you do?
That is fantastic. I told you, figure out how to get your 750 from 250 was at $1,500. Start making sales to get back your $1,500. The higher it goes, so let's say you sold it at 10. You sold 100 shares at 10 or 250 at 10. You got back all your money. See you later. Then you got the rest for free, 500 for free. Correct?
You're getting a lot of abuse. Kevin is telling you to drink your girly champagne after your knee replacement, and it'll help.
Listen, I've been drinking champagne since I'm like 17 or 18 years old. I'll tell everybody a quick story. I went on a date to see a Broadway play, the Phantom of the Opera back in the day. And I went to Schubert's Alley, I guess it's called, where there were bars there and Broadway. And my dad told me to get a rusty nail. So I'm 18 years old. I go up to the bartender with my date. And the guy looks at me. I said, I'll take a rusty nail. The guy looked at me like I was nuts. He gave me the rusty nail. I took one sip of it. It was like drinking gasoline. I think it was Drambuie and scotch. And that was my father told me to get that as my first drink. I was dying. And the guy looked at me and goes, hey, tough guy, you want another one? I was shaking my head, no. No. I was trying to get rid of my girl so I could throw it out. And that's why I went right back to the girly drinks. And I've been a girly drinker for a long time.
Oh, Univest had an IPO, VSME. I guess it wasn't the hot ticket, but that's all right. Today. Somebody's saying NVOS is a bear trap. That actually means you're trapping the bears, not the bulls. But anyway, let's not.
Right. The bear trap, it went down to 20 cents.
Right.
At that point, if people were sucking up all the shares, that would be a bear trap.
Exactly.
When it's up here, that it's gapping back up, that's, if you were lucky enough to buy it at 20 cents or that woman paid 19 cents, you actually made 100% on your money. So that's, if you sold half of your position up 100%, right, you would have 50% of your position for free. There's that old word again, trade for free. If you can keep playing for free, maybe NVOS goes to $10. I don't know. I know nothing about it. But wouldn't you like to have half of it for free? Or if you need the money, you sell the other half, you sell another quarter of it, and you got 25% for free, right? And you put some profit in your pocket. That's, think like that. Think like that.
Someone's
Don't
asking.
Buy stocks, watch them go up and stand like the Statue of Liberty. That's not what this is about.
I love the quote.
It keeps the doctor away, right?
I love the quote that I read from Warren Buffett. I wish I knew it earlier. He said, if it's good enough to screenshot, in other words, if all of a sudden your account is worth a lot of money, you take a screenshot of it, it's good enough to sell. That's what he said. I think it's great advice. When you're feeling all great, everything's going, I'm making so much, you probably should lighten up.
Wait a second, William. I gave that line. Screw Warren Buffett, that old fool. I told you before, whatever you say, my stock is going crazy, it looks great. I always told you, look in the other hand and say, I'm supposed to sell it when that happens.
Yeah, you did say that. I can
And
confirm.
if you reverse it, say, oh my God, this stock is getting killed, NVOS. My stock is getting killed. It was just 50 cents. It looks awful. If you bought it, look what happens now.
The gentleman that had his knees replaced 5 weeks ago, both of them, he's 65 years old, and it went better than he expected.
Good for him. My wife took me to the doctor because I had to make sure she got me a lollipop after I got my needles, and we did. And we walked out. And she goes, "Listen." She signed me up. You got to try it. You make sure you get it on the. We booked it for March of next year. Because the guy was booked, and she goes, you got to be worried. There's a lot of complications. I said, you just told me to get the surgery. Now you walk outside. You tell me in the parking lot there's complications. That's why I put it up on Twitter. I wanted to hear what people have to say because I have no idea, and I'm Chicken Little, so that's me.
Maybe they can do you like Peter Griffin, make you taller.
I'm afraid I'm going to go in for my knees to get done. I'm going to come out and I'm going to get a pair of breasts. That's what I'm afraid I'm going to do.
You would deserve it.
This wacky world, I'll come out with breasts. Then I'll have to date Dirty Mayo. That'll be my worst fear.
So one guy wants to know.
Yeah.
One guy wants to know the Long Island Kramer hotspots. We've put those up before as a steakhouse and an Italian restaurant, but he wants to visit after.
Cipollino's, it's a Miracle Mile in Manhasset. There's Cipollino's, and that's a hot, trendy Italian place. They go to the chicken witch, the coffee, what's it called? The kitchen witch. They go there for breakfast. The people there, everybody knows they're frauds.
And there's a steakhouse too, right?
I forgot the name of the stupid steakhouse. I've been there a couple of times.
We went to it, I thought. Yeah.
I'll give you my first story. I went to the steakhouse with a group of guys when we first started this fight, and they said that the Kramers came here, and I was at the table with 6 guys, me and 5 other gentlemen. And thank God they didn't show up that night, because these guys were not friendly people. I can tell you that. They were actually waiting and looking around to see when they come in. People are pissed off they got robbed. And when you see the criminals, if you saw a criminal on the street that was robbing you, or trying to rob your family, I think that people, and thank God no one showed up, because I didn't want to be in the middle of a riot. But these guys were pissed, and they were waiting for them. So again, that's not my problem. I'm not that type of guy, but people are angry. They've been ripped off. They lost millions of dollars by these guys in different names. And they invited me. I didn't know anything about the stupid place. They invited me. And when I got there, they said, if they walk in the door, get ready. I'm like, for what? I had no idea. But it wasn't going to be friendly, that I can tell you. But listen, people don't like to get robbed. What am I going to? I can't blame them.
Bryant and Cooper.
Oh, yeah, Brian and Cooper in Roswell, New York.
Yeah.
So,
one of your friends just sent that to me. Ricky Brogan says, don't celebrate, liquidate. That's pretty good advice.
When it looks that great, you take advantage of it. Listen, I don't know who can trade. Can you trade NVOS in the after hours? I have no idea.
Well, I actually looked into it. Apparently, to trade after hours, you have to sign I don't know what it's called, a non-suing letter with your brokerage firm. You have to agree that you're not going to sue them. You sign it, and you can trade in the aftermarket. I can't. I've never done it, but I guess anyone can.
Again, listen, it's not my business. I know nothing about it, but if you were lucky enough to buy it at 20 cents. Think about this. What's the woman's name that talked about this?
RC. No, was it RC LaBelle? Yeah, RC LaBelle. She bought it at 19 cents.
You bought a stock at $19. It's $46 now. What would you be doing?
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, that's way.
Just change the numbers. If you paid $19 for the stock a little while ago and it's trading $46, what would you do?
It's a good.
I can't say any more than I just said.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to look at it.
Just change the numbers. That's how people don't understand. These moves are massive. I know you don't think it's much. Oh, it went from 20 cents to 47 cents. It's not that big. It's $19 to $47. Just change the numbers. That's how big that move is that you're just watching, that you're watching right now. I hope it keeps going, because the shorts, if they are in that name, are really catching a beating here in that name right now.
Do you think in Finger or in GTII, would you, if you put GTCs out, would you space them by $100? $100?
I would only space them at $100 after you make your sales and you have your money off the table.
Okay.
Because then you don't have to look at it. Just go away and don't look at it. Listen, the company's worth $5, right?
Right.
That's what that benchmark said. The company's worth $5 with an upward revision on the way, right? That's what they said. So if it's worth $5 and the stock goes to the moon and you forget to do it, you can always sell it at $5. You don't lose any money because you pay below $5, right? There's
a couple of people that had their knees done, but I don't think you're going to like hearing this. He had one knee reconstructed after rugby, and the surgery is okay, but going to the toilet is a challenge.
I'll just go in my pants like everybody else.
It doesn't say whether that's
the guy I want to hang out with. I want to hang out with rugby players. That's the guy I want, because that's the guy you're going to throw through the door first. That's the guy.
Yeah, they just.
Any other questions?
Yeah, let me look. Maybe not. There's a bunch here. I'm just checking. A lot of. Lee is saying the knowledge you were sharing him is amazing. Lee Wills is thanking you.
I hope everyone profits from it. I hope you understand it. Listen, just it's the same. The game is the same game in all stocks. When they attack it and throwing it out the window, NBOS looked horrible. I can only see what I see. It was 20 cents. And, you know, if you bought it for a reason before and you flipped it and it comes back to a zone, you can say, hey, I'll take a shot back here again. And boom, you get lucky and it happens. That's the equity markets. It does it in every stock. You know, the video was down, whatever it was yesterday. Today it's up 6. It was up 8 yesterday. It was down, then back up big. You know, let's see what Tesla's doing. You know, if Tesla was down big, today it's up 6. UNH seems to be the best of all these nonsense stocks. When it goes up big, I wouldn't be afraid if you can get cheap puts because every 2 days they take it down 10, up 10. It's all over the place. Costco's another one people have been trading. It's all over. These stocks have 5-7 point swings every day.
Well, Costco is Charlie Munger owns 2 stocks. One is Berkshire Hathaway and the other is Costco. And if I'm wrong, those are 2 of 3 stocks he owns. I don't remember the third.
Yes, I have to go there and get 800 pounds of cheese today. That's what I'm going to go do today.
Why don't you play squash instead of pickleball?
I used to play squash. I won a New York City Open back in the day.
The New York City Open? Squash Open?
I played in a big tournament at the downtown AC.
Wow.
I told you that story. I played it. It's I used to play.
Is that the New York Athletic Club?
Yeah, that where they got the Heisman Trophy. I used to play at the Harvey Club all the time. I used to get in the Harvey Club. I used to get in there. Of course, I had to climb walking backwards like I was leaving like the Three Stooges. But I got in there. I played a lot of squash. Yes, I did.
This is interesting. I'm sure you stopped because it interferes with your pickleball swing. I am confused on the push for the S3. Does that mean Univest is instantly going to start buying? It doesn't, does it? That's just for the company to be able to sell.
I think listen. From what I gather, the S3. If you go back and look at, it's a deep dive. But if you go into GameStop or AMC, they had to announce they were raising money. The shorts beat the shit out of the stocks in the middle of their runs because they knew the companies needed money.
Right.
Now, I don't remember. I think GameStop really, that began the downfall in both those names is when they started to raise money. In Finger Motion, it's all filed already. They don't have to make another statement here.
Right.
They could just come out and say, hey, we raised, we sold 1 million shares at $60. We raised $60 million. It'll be done already. You won't even know.
Right.
They can sell 100 shares every day, the company now. You don't have to do anything. It's all been done already.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're raising money here. So my guess is that Univest, who is, the new banker for this company, if they do want to play, they would wait for the S3 because then they can raise this company all the money they want on a squeeze to the stars, right?
Right.
Imagine it goes to $1,000 a share. This company can raise, so much money on a major squeeze like this that this company can have, $1 billion in cash in the bank. And that's what you're supposed to do as a public company. Right. Instead, CELU is raising money in the hole. MULN, raising money in the hole, meaning at the worst possible prices that harm shareholders and the company. Finger Motion is an inch away from being on the opposite side of that in the greatest position ever, because a naked short and a real short eventually have to buy the stock back.
Right.
And that's when you start raising money, the opposite way.
What do you say to people who continue to say there's no way there's such a huge short position in Finger?
Then sell your stock, get out, and make a profit, and don't worry about it. What was it to say? I'm not going to argue about it.
It's a good answer.
There's nothing to say. You don't believe it? I do.
Right.
Listen, I bet the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm sure that you would never bet the Jets. It's 65 to 1 to win the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
But stranger things have happened. Who knows? I don't know. So we've been collecting the data. We post it every day. All right? So if I think it's 170 million, and you say, oh, my God, this guy is batshit crazy. Okay, just make it 30 million shares. I took away 140 million shares. Where are you going to cover 30 million shares? You know what it's going to look like, 30 million shares to buy?
Particularly with no selling by the counterfeiters.
The stock will be $300 just on that.
Say that again?
The stock will be 300, in my opinion. The stock will be 300 going to the moon on 30 million shares to buy.
Wow.
Imagine if we're right and it's 170.
My prediction? Pain.
Right. That's exactly what it would be. That's how crazy. So pick any number you like. If you think we're crazy, lower it to wherever you want. Say, hey, you know what? I think it's 10 million shares. Well, count the shares. When you see the 10 million shares of buying come in, then get out. That's it. There's nothing to say. Make your own determination. I told you before, this is a game about investing, using the information to educate yourself. On the way out the door, it's about you and your family. You need to figure out whether I got to buy a new car, go to get a medical procedure, do this, get a toupee, whatever you have to do. You need the money. Everyone has problems, right? And that's the way it goes. Life happens, and everyone's different. My life can change in a moment. And it almost did. You know, my wife hit ahead. It almost changed it in a minute, right?
I don't know if you know anything about Ryan Cohen and GME. Do you think the stock has been crushed?
I think Ryan Cohen, once he gets past that SEC nonsense where they're accusing him of buying, they wanted to see his trades, the Bed Bath & Beyond. He helped squeeze GameStop, then he squeezed Bed Bath & Beyond, and now he's back at GameStop. He's not here to own us, whatever it is, to be the leader of a $16 stock. That guy's here to bust the balls of the shorts. I don't know what he's going to do or when he's going to do it, but that's a guy that you know he's lurking around that's going to do something. So you can follow him. The key to, I'll give you the key, all right? For everybody on this call, mark it down because I'm not going to say it again. I'm going to go on here right now so I can see it. Hold on a second.
You better write down that you're not going to say it again, too.
That's probably false. I keep talking, right? If you go to Yahoo, everybody go to Yahoo, and you type in GameStop, GME, and you look at it, and say, okay, here it is. If you just go to the bottom, there's a bar, company insights, conversations, statistics, historical data. You go to the right, after options, it says holders. Click on that, and you're just going to scroll down a little bit. I hope everybody's catching up to it. It says the major holders, the percentage of shares held by all insiders. The percentage of shares held by institutions is 28.94%, right?
Right.
It says the percentage of float held by institutions is 33%. That's a little higher, right?
Yeah.
When I reported on GameStop, the percentage of float held by institutions was 171%. It's 32% now.
Wow.
I'm just going to go to my profile here on Twitter. I wrote down, as a GME is insane. Funds own 177% of the float without one retail investor counted. So it was wrong. It was 177, I said, right?
Yeah.
Right now, that number is at 32%, 33%. Watch that number. When the institutions start buying that stock, that number will go up. When it was 177, everyone, when the stock started to go from 3 3/4 up to 500. It went to 500, it's back down. The number is now 33%. That means every institution who bought the stock sold it because it was a short squeeze. Do you understand that, William?
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. That is the easiest number to follow. When you see that number start to go up, mark it down. It's 33% now. When you see it go to 38, 40%, 41, 42, after you see it start to move up, you'll see the stock start to react. And that's when I would start paying attention to it.
Well, apparently he's in BBBBYQ as well, but I don't know. Anyway, there's a good question. Remember that a lot of your listeners haven't always been around all the time. It's a legitimate question. Can you explain how a stock can go from $5 to, say, $900? Is it just because of naked shorting? How can it happen?
Well, look at it this way. If you're an investor and I just told you to buy a stock at $9 and you say, I didn't buy that stock, should I still buy it? And I say, it's trading at 900 now. Would you go out and buy it? There's no way in the world I could tell anyone, if I told you to buy it at 9, to go buy it at 900, right? So for 99 3/4% of the population, no one would ever chase a stock that's doing that. All right? So when those stocks start running like that, the people that are buying it are the shorts only. Those are shorts on top of shorts. They're the ones that drive these stocks to the moon. It's not the investors.
Well, I was hoping you'd explain that, how if it sparks upward, other shorts come in and day trade it, and then they panic, and then they cover.
It's just shorts on top of shorts.
All right.
If you go back and look, when the water dries up in Africa, and you see all the alligators stuck on top of each other, and whatever water's left, that's what a short squeeze looks like. It's just shorts on top of shorts. The pool is drying up, and it's just them on top of each other. Finger motion, we were just granted the luxury of having a new short added to our pile. We think it's 1, but if it is 2, 3, or 4, that's even better, because shorts start to panic at different times. Just like you panic when you have a stock that's going down, you panic out when it starts to collapse, right?
Yeah.
That's everyone bails out at different times, right?
You could probably, if you wanted to, you could probably catch me out when I agree with you, because I'm not always listening.
Anyway, so that people do things at different times. If there's more than one short, like we started these battles with the Kramers and Lynn Partners.
Right.
In Kramers, I think we brought in Alpine. That's about the extent of that crime.
Right.
All right. In Lynn Partners now, we have someone that's really pressing a bet on the short side. They're trapped. And we have Lynn Partners. I don't think it's more than that. The real short could be 1 or 2, 3 people, maybe. If you think it's more, the more the merrier. But I would say it's 1 and 1. 1 real short, 1 naked short. The real short absolutely knows the naked short, because no one would jump into this battle.
And he's probably being guaranteed, and he's going to lose his. Right. He's going to lose his courage.
There's no way anybody jumps into this fight and say, I may say I'm going to short it. I'll short 50,000 shares, right?
Right.
There's no one that's going to come in and say, I'm going to short 1,540,000 shares of this stock at 5, and I know nothing about it. I'm in. There's nobody who does that.
Here's a listener, Carhart. She's saying, or he's saying, you're right, Ham. Life can change in a second. 9 years ago today, I was run over by a tractor. 6 months in the hospital. Life changed forever. So that's true. Things can.
Listen, I feel for you, and I know people who have had the same type of accidents.
Well,
they spent months in the hospital, and it takes years to get back on track. And, if you ever need help, please reach out. We'll be glad to help you any way we can or answer any question you can, and this way you get back on track, and hopefully we can help you financially to get back on track.
This guy, I like this. The prime brokers are the ones making money off lending shares. We need to change the rules. Of course, no one follows rules because it's a conflict of interest. And that might be true.
If you just watch Pat Burns' video on William, I think I have it here. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Give me 1 second while I have the thought here, guys. I will retweet it for you as soon as it comes up. But there's a video, Pat Burns was speaking, and he talks about Goldman being just most of their profits come from stock loan.
Oh, yeah, I put it up. It's, to my memory, 85% of Goldman Sachs prime brokers' revenue comes from their stock loan desk, and 76% of that is profit.
Right.
And he said it's run by guys named Vinny and Tony, and there's not much overhead.
That's it. That's what they do. They make up the numbers. They lend it out. They're lending your shares out. They're lending out these.
And then they rehypothecate, which means they're just mimeographing titles into the shares. Wes Christian says it the best still. He says, down in Texas, we call that stealing. Right. And I think you can't say it better. Can you comment on the after-hour trading in Finger? It seems like there's really sharp swings up and down. What does it show?
This is the most important part in Finger, or I guess in any stock after hours. Yeah, I think you just saw it in NVOS, right? There was a big surge driving it up to 48 cents, correct?
Right.
So you got day trading, or guys that trade for the short period, shorting in a stock, and after hours they panicked and said, "Let me cover." That wasn't investors running in and buying it up 100%. Those are shorts trying to clear out their position. They were short, whether they short, this thing's traded, 50 million shares. This guy short 1 million, 2 million shares, saying, "Screw this, get me out." And it created a little short squeeze on its own right there.
Right.
In finger motion, guys that shorted throughout the day, okay, guys who shorted throughout the day and the stock doesn't go back down, after hours is when I think they start to panic and say, okay, let me start scooping in 10 or 20,000 shares that are sold. So I'm looking for finger motion right now. It's 572 to 578. I think this stock can drift by the time it shuts down tonight. All right. By some short trying to cover by pushing it up to $6. That's what I think.
Wow.
So I'm watching. I'm watching to see that. That's what I'm watching for.
So if it were to get to 6, how does it trade in the morning? It goes up from there, or we'll find out. We'll find out.
Nothing goes up. In our stocks, the same pattern happens every morning. They try to sell it down. Right. It's the same stupid pattern. You can see it.
So whatever it is, they'll sell it down.
Just watch these guys trying to hold it down. It's $5 for how many days? 5 1/4. Push it back down. Push it back down. Push it back down. And now we're at 578. I don't understand the battle at 4. The other battle at 5. This is like insane what they do every day.
Well, I think that real squeeze going up, that might have been to drive the closing price on that option day down. Those last 2 days of option week. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Do you think we will have multiple days once the squeeze starts in both stocks?
I have to wait for it to start. I can tell you, I'll be the first to come on and tell you when I first see the first pop in the activity. I can tell you whether we have, new shorts joining the party. If there's resistance, we'll be able to see the short covering. Listen, if you know about the short squeeze, right, that we've been talking about for 3 years now, and the stock takes off tomorrow and it's 15, is there anybody on this phone that's going to run out and pay $15 for it?
Oh,
I hear crickets. I don't think anybody would do it. I would do it. People that would do it are going to be hedge funds, because hedge funds know that there's a short being covered and they will front run the buyer. That's what Wall Street loves to do. And that's what they did in GameStop. All right?
Yeah.
They were front running the buyer.
I'm just checking other. Apparently, it's a big candle. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Oh, do you need to spread your orders around to multiple brokers to sell Finger?
No.
I don't think you need to.
No. Just pick a number, good till cancel. Pick your numbers, throw them out there. You can always change them. You can cancel it. But if the stock was to go and you don't have an order in, you can't make a sell. Pretty easy.
So anyway, people are talking about this NVOS, which is a nice trade for Borders, you got to admit. And other questions don't seem to be. One guy's saying if Finger opens up in the pre-market, it might start going tomorrow. Who knows? We don't know. It'll be in the volume.
I don't think it'll be in the volume. I think it'll be in the price.
Or in the price. They'll gap it open first.
Today's volume was 792,000 was good volume. All right, but we'll see at 5:30 how much the criminals sold again. And remember, that number is a reduced number from Tom Ronks, because Tom gets it from all those dark pool exchanges. And I stopped adding. 170 was a nice number. Someone says, oh, we got to be moving towards, we'll be at 200. I said, just do the math. If they're selling 100,000 shares a day, it's 500 a week, it's 2 million a month. Doesn't take long before you get to, another 10. In 10 months, you're at another 20 million shares. If you do 200 a day, the numbers just go up faster.
Right.
And that's what people need to focus on, that number I just described to 100,000, even if it's 50,000 a day. Right? It's 250 a week. It's $1 million a month. 12 months, you got 12 million shares short. Imagine doing it for 3 years, you're 36 million. That's 50,000. We watch these idiots sell 1 million shares in a day. So your average, I would say sometimes your average in Finger Motion is going to be like 300,000 a day, which is $1.5 million a week, which is $6 million a month. In 5 months, it's 30 million more. It adds up quick. And you say to me, how do you know they're not covering? We watch the stock trade every day. I never see anything. Every time the stock goes up, someone comes in smashing it back down. That's not the sign of covering. And I don't know people who sell stock like that.
So this might be a repetitive question, but it's short and sweet. How long do you think the finger squeeze will last?
I can't tell until I see the trading.
Exactly.
When it pops up, I'll give you an example. HKD had no resistance. So that was a 1-2 day trade? That was it.
Oh, I see. There was no selling. Yeah.
There was nobody. No one wanted the short that stood in front of it in the beginning.
Yeah.
He pressed his bet once, twice, and then he was carried out.
I got you. Yeah.
There may have been a couple of small people here, but that's about it. I'm just looking at the VWAP, which is the average weighted sales today. It was 5.47. So every share they sold today is underwater. That's a hard thing to do when you're selling short, right?
Right.
Everything's in the red. That's not a good sign. 5.47 was the average price. So there's different ways to check You try to look for where the pressure is on these guys. The guy's down 75 cents on 1.5 million. What I say is about $1 million too.
Yeah.
That's not bad for the first. Hey, I just got short the stock. How you doing? Oh, I'm down $1 million too. The most I can make is $5 million. The most I can make is $5 million, but I lost $1 million too today. Yeah, that's a genius.
And he's going to go to his desk and say, "Can I borrow some?" And they're going to say no. He'll go. Who's he going to borrow money on that trade? No one's going to fix that trade for him.
Right, that's what happens. Is no one's going to protect anybody here. So that's another question people ask me all the time. Oh, someone's going to bail them out? If you want to bail them out, call them up and offer them money. You can bail them out.
People are really interested in, and I guess you could use your VW analogy, but how high could it squeeze? And remember, guys, that's the squeeze. That doesn't mean hold all your stock to get that high price.
Keep making the sales. That's all you need to do. You'll believe me, it's like you'll have an out-of-body experience when your stock is running and you don't have to worry about a penny that's on the table.
Do you want to talk about the dividend and GTII? That question just keeps coming.
October 15th, we talked about that.
Yeah. Look
at the dividend in MMTLP. Did that cause a headache for anybody?
I heard, I guess I can't say that. I won't say it, but I can say that Fidelity was paying 1,000% for GTII stock a year ago when the dividend the warrant issued as a dividend trapped them. So I think, for example, Fidelity might have a problem with this dividend because they can choose to commit fraud or they can buy in, fail to deliver.
I posted a bunch of stories. Unregistered securities offerings are fraudulent. The SEC gets guys every day who do unregistered security offerings. They get them all the time. Just go to the SEC.gov. They put them up there every day. You'll see somebody. Whether it's an unregistered crypto, unregistered this, unregistered that. Fidelity giving out a dividend of a public company and just creating an IOU is the sale of an unregistered security. The company has not authorized that. And guys, listen, anyone speaking to the Senate banking, on the cover of every financial statement that's produced by a public company, they have to list the amount of shares that are outstanding and in the float. It should be mandatory that the SEC provide investors, besides with that information, how big the naked short is in these names.
Absolutely.
You would change your investment philosophy if you said, "Oh my God, Kodak has 1.2."
You don't know the denominator. You would change everything.
It would change everything. So it's important that if you speak to a representative, say, "Hey, look at the numbers on everybody's statements because the name is the amount of shares outstanding and in the float," which is important to know. But the SEC should include the naked shorts because that number is completely out of whack. And the SEC should be adding their part to that financial statement because the company doesn't have access to it.
So more encouragement on your knee. Vince Felice says, aside from marrying his wife, getting his knee replaced was the best decision of his life.
Wow.
3 to 4 weeks of pain. But if you take your pain pills, you'll be fine. Not sure how well you'll play pickleball. You might have to learn chess.
Oh, listen, in pickleball, my greatest asset is, it used to be my speed, which I'm still pretty quick at. But my greatest asset is that I'm deadly accurate with shots. I could put the ball anywhere you like and as hard as you want it to be. And that's my asset. And I'll take that. My right arm, my right shoulder, I'm right-handed, is a rocket. I have no pains, nothing, zero. I can hit it all day long. So it's tennis. I would be crippled. But the pickleball, it's so small. It's so small, it doesn't make a difference. I can get to most anything. So.
KYP is doubling down. She's not as scared of you. She says, I'm surely going to beat you in pickleball, boy.
Well, listen, William, I'm going to ask you to reach out to her and tell me where to go, and I will go meet her anytime now.
Oh, that's right. You still have a few months before the big thing. So.
Oh, I got till March. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to blow out all my knees to win this game. I'm going all in.
I'll come up and I'll be in the audience.
Just so you know, I was when I played ball, I was the king of diving for balls. I have no problem diving on concrete to get a ball to win. So that's how crazy I am.
That's painful. Wow.
You got to learn how to flop. That's all.
On concrete?
Yep. You play paddle ball, you play handball in Brooklyn, you play all these crazy games. And when you're playing for money, you learn how to go get the ball, right?
I guess. I can't think of any money that would interest me into belly flopping on concrete.
I used to play ping pong for $500 a game, and we used to dive on the floor for ping pong balls. So, and that is the truth.
I just guess.
Anyway, I'm going to go have my dinner. Everyone have a great night. I got my gel shots, my cortisone. I'm ready to go run a couple of miles. William, your job is to hook me up for KYP.
I think you need to get your pool refurbished so you can just have, just do your exercising in the pool because you're.
What do you turn me into a synchronized swimming?
Yeah, synchronized swimming. Yes.
We can do it.
Yeah, you'll be a synchronized swimmer.
Anyway, listen, everyone, have a great night. We'll touch base tomorrow, and thanks for listening. Have a great night.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Sam. Bye. All right, guys. That's a long call, but I think he had quite a hitch in his step, in his voice. I think he's upbeat. What's stopping brokers for not posting an IOU for our dividend? I don't know. Nothing, I would say. But like I just pointed out with Fidelity, Santo, the first time these broker dealers can say, oh, we didn't know. Our systems didn't pick it up. Our employees are all 12 years old. It's their fault. But the second time, at some point, you're complicit and you're committing fraud. And in the case of Fidelity, as I already said, they were paying 1,000% a year ago to borrow shares of GTII. I can't think of a comparable situation. I don't remember if any of that was going on with Finger. I don't remember. And I got that all third hand. Unfortunately, I can't prove it because I didn't have an account at Fidelity. But anyway, I would say that many broker dealers will just put an IOU in your account. And then they'll have their lawyers say, if it ever matters, hey, we didn't know. It's just standard procedure, But the whole reason for these shares is to make them make that decision. And you've got Wes Christian watching everything. So I guess what's stopping is if they're honest. But you're right. You've summarized the whole thing. Thank you, Mr. BN Pro. You're welcome, Santo. Look what they did to my son. Wasn't he Santo? Look what they've done to my son. They've butchered my boy. Use all of your powers. All right, so synchronized squeezing. So anyway, I can answer some questions or go walk my dog. In terms of, I recall someone was asking about I didn't write everything down. So the only question I recall someone was asking was about logic and go logic. I really can't give much of an update beyond what I've said. It is my opinion, which I made clear on my Sunday video, that any day the S4 could be approved, the Aubrey SPAC could be approved. Well, yesterday you got that Aubrey SPAC well, part of it was a red herring, part of it was a proxy, and it came out yesterday on the SEC website. So I would say everything's moving in the direction you want it to move with logic. You could have a little bit of a short squeeze in the logic shares. There are many people, one in particular, that tells me the shorting in logic shares is all legitimate shorting, but you don't. It really doesn't matter at that point if it starts moving up. I don't have anything against people borrowing shares, paying to borrow real shares, and shorting it, and you can have a squeeze in that sense too. But today is Thursday. I'm just going to make a lazy assumption that any good news that's going to happen in logic will be announced Monday or Tuesday next week. I don't know anything. It's just usually if there's good news, it's not announced on Fridays. So I would continue if you're trying to accumulate. The stock, I guess, closed in the low 20s because of the shorting, whether it's legal or not. You can buy the stock under 25 cents, which in my judgment, just the Aubrey SPAC side, just the data logic side, ignoring the shell, you're going to get two pieces of paper. Just the data logic side could be worth 240, 250 in a few weeks in value. It all will depend on where the Aubrey SPAC, well, it'll be called collective audience at that point. But if that closes at 20, stays above $20 a share, you're gonna be looking at 10 times your money from 25 cents. I mean, it's an interesting. It's an interesting play. Go Logic, I think, is equally as exciting. I just can't explain what's going on there. I ask. It's all very similar. It's almost the. I think I've said that before, but my dad used to say identical. He wouldn't say it. He would just be imitating people he grew up with in upstate New York. But anyway, it's the same sort of story, really. And but I just can't give you enough of it. They're moving the fintech business into RCRT, which is all out there. It's on the SEC site. That's a NASDAQ stock trading at $1.50. Maybe they do something to reverse split it and then raise some money. Is that good? Is that bad? I would assume they've learned their lessons and they won't take toxic notes, but that's something to watch for. Go Logic would become a shell then and have some ownership of some things, but I'm not conversant in it. But I do know Go Logic is, at least now, kind of heavily weighted to Southeast Asia. And you remember Brent's son introduced Univest to Finger. So my brain goes, well, what if Univest helps Code Logic? I don't know. That's all speculation on my part. That is speculation. I have heard nothing. By MKC. After hours sees good action, so should we up for pre-market? Unless you can trade in the pre-market, I wouldn't worry about it. I tend to agree with Ham that it's always the same pattern. They try to fight it in the pre-market. They fight it in the first half an hour. But at one of these prices, you could see the computer switch from selling to buying, the algorithms that the shorts use. So, yeah, it might be worth watching. Maybe it'll squeeze during a gov shutdown. Yeah, number one, I don't think the government's going to shut down. I don't think the House has the it's so, you got five, somehow, I don't know how that happened, but you've got 5 votes to the majority, and you've got the, I don't know how many it is now, the Anna Paulina, Luna, Matt Getz, those types, but they don't always agree with each other. I don't know. I don't think the budget, the government will be shut down. Okay, rewind. All I can say is Ham. Wow. Roslyn, New York is a great music. My father's place. I'll try to remember that because I like, in my past years, I like going to see music. How do you reach Busy Brands? Email, YouTube. He's on Twitter, and it's at Busy Brands. I'll show you. That's Busy Brands. He's got a blue check. I don't have a blue check. He's a good man in my judgment. Are you going to Columbus to meet Hester Pierce? Maybe. I haven't been invited, but I did say I'd be willing to meet Hester. But that's the first time I read about Columbus and Hester in the same sentence. I'll go walk him. Skinny, I think his teeth, he doesn't seem to have the same. What I've done is I don't serve him hard food anymore, and maybe that's it. But he seems to be okay. Fingers crossed. Will the GTII dividend shares lower our cost average? Well, the cost was 0. So I would say it does lower your average. But what I'm wondering about is how. Yeah, I suppose if you sold it as all one block for your IRS purposes, it's lowered your cost average. If you sell your shares in tax lots, that distribution you got, it has zero cost basis. So yeah, it does lower your cost basis. The only reason, I'm not a tax accountant, I don't know how it's handled, and I can't think of any trip ups. It would seem logical. You just, if you sold everything all at the same time, it brings your cost basis down. Lucky's doing very well, and he hates it when I leave him for even 15 minutes. My girlfriend says I'm a whale. She might be talking about your belt size, not your wallet. I don't know. I think I think there's been whales buying Finger for a while, and there's a difference of opinion that I get to hear about quite a bit. But I think it's hard to make a stock go up when the printing press is just, the mimeographs just are mimeographing fake shares. My eyesight. Ham said he is trading for dollars. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not on Twitter. Oh, Ham invited me. Okay. So, Ryan, I don't know how you can contact me then. I just don't want to give out, although it seems like everyone found me all over the place. I don't know. This is YouTube. Can't you send something in the comment and it shows up? Maybe that's what you do, Ryan. Send me something via YouTube, and if it shows up, I'll give you an answer in the morning. I've got to know right now. Do you love me? Will you love me forever? Do you need me? Wow. Your wife had it too. It's amazing. It's amazing, modern medicine. Is tattoo on my radar? No, but you guys keep asking about it. If one of these trades works, then I think, let's just say your whole account is $10,000 and you have it all in Finger. I'm making it up, obviously. Well, what if that account goes to 150,000? Well, then you don't have to, you can, but you don't have to put 150,000 into the next play. You could do several trades and even keep some cash aside, pay off some debt. And then you don't have to be so anxious on every single trade. So, right. Ham said he's not trading for pennies. That's true. So anyway, Augustine, I think TTOO in that case would add up. I've made a list, I think, of 5, it might be 7 stocks that I'd like to buy if this runs, and we'll see. We'll see. I would consider TTOO. I just don't know anything about it. That's Meatloaf. My stepmother said, "Oh, Billy, turn off the TV. I don't want to watch this." And I said, No, Pam, it's good. And she sat and watched it. By the time it was over, she thought it was one of the greatest songs she'd ever heard. He's rounding second. He's on third. He's making for home. Stop right there. Same, Aaron. All right. So it's 5:47. Unless I see, a question that tickles my fancy, I think I'm going to sign off without much warning because I want to walk Lucky, hopefully get him into the veterinarian where they give him free pieces of chicken and his face just lights up and he's so excited. And then that's about it. And we'll yeah, by the way, Avid Trader recommended NVOS. So that's, I don't know enough about it, but that is a nice trade. If you bought it, made a profit, you come back here, or you just trade it. I just caution that it seems like every time one of these stocks runs, they drive it down or they do a deal. But I don't know. But maybe I've been told, a Mississippi woman. The chickens are dead. They're not free. They are dead chickens, and they've been pressed and flattened. So, good boy, we'll go. There doesn't seem to be any more questions. I'm going to take a quick look at Finger before I hang up. And I'll try to get this stream fixed. What's this news? Is this new news? No, that's February. That is February. Okay, 568. The bid is 564. The ask is 576. 795,000 shares. I don't know how much traded after hours. So it's actually down from where it closed, which is interesting. So they're still fighting. I take that as an opportunity. As long as you're getting the discount, the Lynn Partners discount. Leader Landscape, love to hear you guys pump the moods up. Not sure. Is that moods or mods? But I always, when I read pump, I assume that that's a negative connotation. I don't know. I just wish everybody on here could have a win financially. If Finger goes to 15, or if it goes to 150, or it spikes over 1,000, I just wish each and every person could have a meaningful enough win that ideally they could leave the debt-based system completely, but that might be unrealistic. That they could possibly, and we'll talk about how to do those kind of things, but possibly build in income streams so they don't have to worry about money again, and possibly buy resource plays, which I think is where money's going to be made. We've had 4 decades of Goldilocks economics for the stock market, for real estate, for an entire generation of people. And I just think those things are going to change. And I would just love that people could be their own independent financial unit. They could be their own central bank. And whatever's coming, by doing 1 or 2 of these trades, that they can actually survive the panic and maybe worse that comes and remain not only economically viable, economically independent, a source, an engine of economic growth, a source of security, jobs, and future for their family and loved ones and friends. That's what I'm trying to do, leader. I'm not a pump and dumper. I wish I were. I wish I had pumped and dumped a year ago. I really do. I wish I had sold a year ago. Maybe I would have moved on and set up my own short fund and then just pursue my need for greed. But I don't have a need for greed. I don't know, leader. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm human, so my motives get all complicated sometimes. I get confused quite a bit. I try to keep me out of these, I don't know what to call them, recommendations that aren't financial advice. But, unfortunately, me is it's the only thing that's remained constant in my life. So I can't always knock off me. Okay, Phil Roman, Brian and Cooper Steakhouse behind a gas station on Northern Boulevard in Manhasset. I've been there, I think once, but maybe twice. I went in, tried to take a picture. Thank you, Heidi. And I got your text. I'll respond. I didn't see your phone call, but I look forward to seeing you. Anyway, you know how to reach me. Dominic Pantaleo, keep going, William. You are a JFK Dem and Republican. Yeah, I guess. I'd like to see RFK Jr. this time. I'm shocked at the quality of candidates. I wonder, you guys are all younger, if you find anyone in the pantheon of characters there on either side that are worth voting for. I'm going to leave off I'm not going to state it out loud who I would vote for on the Republican side. But you can probably figure it out. But I'd vote for RFK Jr. But of course, everyone's going to say, "Oh, he's anti something," and then that disqualifies him. To me, it's really interesting that, and I try to remember back to the Reagan years. I was not a big fan of Reagan. But the Democratic Party has always represented the blue-collar worker and the American worker. And I think that's really, they're losing that. And I noticed one candidate on the Republican side who's accused of being all sorts of ists. He doesn't really distinguish when he wants to bring jobs back to America, when he wants to create a strong economy again. I don't ever hear him say, just for white people. I never hear him say that, but maybe it's because I have a blindness that I'm missing something. All right, leader, landscape is positive. Thank you. Well, I think optics matter. I don't speak about it a lot, partly really for two reasons. Ham doesn't want to talk about it. And then the second thing is I really think finger is about to run, but when it rains, it pours. And I think you have an opportunity at 20 cents, but at 25 cents, I don't know where it closed, to make 8 to 12 times on your money in value, just on the data logic Aubrey SPAC side. The shell of logic. Look, you should see if the Aubrey SPAC price stays at $10, it's worth about I'm going to use a round number, as much as $1.25 to you, depending if it's 11 or 12. But anyway, if it's in the low teens, the Aubrey SPAC side's worth $1.25. The shell, if it's going to have a reverse merger, might be worth 50 cents. Let's just use those two numbers. That's $1.75. You're paying 25 cents right now. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. That's 7x. That's 7x. It's pretty darn good. And there's always risk in markets, but it's as picking up pennies or dollar bills off the sidewalk as can be. Now, if the stock were to go on the SPAC side, if that stock were to end up, it's going to run up, I think, and then settle back. If because of other deals that are rolled into the SPAC side, which will be called collective audience, it'll trade on NASDAQ. But if that's trading at $20 or $25 a share, that side just all by itself could be worth $2.40, $2.50, $3 to your share. That's ignoring the shell at 50 cents. The 50-cent shell might be worth 70 cents or 80 cents. That's either going to just be a one-off, or maybe there'll be other deals rolled in. I don't have enough information. But if you add 50 cents to 250, that's $3. You're getting 10x buying the stock here. You're getting 10x. So, yeah, I think Logic's going to do well. And remember, you're not going to be, I read it last night. I read through it. You're not going to be able to sell 2/3 of the Aubrey SPAC distribution right away. But I think that's okay. That moderates the sell-off, and it delays your ability to sell into next year, so you don't have a taxable gain this year. I think it's okay. Hey, Picos Bill. Good to see you, young man. Remember to watch where you're riding. Don't watch your phone while you're on your horse. Don't go Joe on us. Joe? Are you talking about Brandon? I think there's a good chance that he's going to get reelected, like Breakfast at Bernie's or whatever that movie was. But if he does, whether it's right after the convention or after the election in November, I think after the election in November, but before the swearing in January, I think he'll be replaced. That's unless in the 5 or 6 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, maybe Nevada, Georgia. Can anyone really believe Georgia is blue? And maybe a couple of others, North Carolina. These states, the Republican Party has to start using all of the mechanisms that the Democrats are using. Otherwise, Otherwise, Biden will win by the most votes ever in the history of any president ever, as the most popular president who ever existed. And you can't question it, because obviously it's the fairest vote in the world. The United States has the fairest votes in the world. Yeah, and that's why you can't question it. I mean, if they weren't fair, you could question it. But since they're fair, don't question it. I'm not wise blood. I'm not in Logic or GTII. Well, there's a lot of stocks I'm not in, and I have to fight my urge, to switch horses. But your number one goal, wise blood, unless you're already established with a large account, is to grow that account to a significant level, to have your account grow to a significant level. And I think concentration on one stock or two, if you closely monitor it, is the best way to do that. After you get there, diversify. And of all of the stocks out there right now, I think Finger is the closest to running. Ironically, I believe that there's going to be good news on MMTLP, but I'm just reading tea leaves. I have no information. It just seems that they're going to want to keep it from percolating in Congress and in the news. And the best way to do that is pay up. And almost, any amount of money they pay up is a cost of doing business. To you and I, it sounds like a large amount of business. But if they can keep this scheme going, they'll earn it back in half a year, 3/4, a third of the year. And they get to write off any payout, believe it or not. The guy who won the debate last night wasn't even there. Well, I wasn't watching, and I felt like a winner. Turn the gain down to stop the distortion. What's the gain? All right, I'll write that down, gain. I don't know what the gain is. I'll have to go watch a YouTube video, audio frequency. I don't know what the gain is. There's at least 3 buttons that I'm afraid to touch. What's going on? Any news? Yeah, I agree with Pecos Bill. I think oil's going higher. That's ordinary angler. The weird thing about oil prices is how much the truisms always work. High prices solve the problem of supply constraints, and low prices usually solve the problem of extra oil. There's a guy named Stephen Lieb, Dr. Stephen Lieb, and I haven't read any of his material recently, although I'll look it up. But he has an index, and it's his opinion, and I'm going to, by memory, say it's $150 oil. If you locate him, my memory might be wrong. But there's a point at which high oil prices are very destructive to the stock market. Do I have a good John story? Oh, the baby? No, but I met No, I don't have a story on John John. When I was young, my brother and sister and I, they always said we looked like the Kennedys, but it was our hair, I think, mostly. But we got Irish in us too. And of course, when you're young, your smile is all white. Yeah, I don't really have a John John story. I'll probably think of something. Do you think AOC would make a good president? Well, I don't know if that's a serious question. I think AOC has the skills to manage the cameras and the media that are on par with our former president. She has an enormous talent to manage the story. But I think her staying power will be shorter than Joe McCarthy or Chauncey the gardener. I'm doing well. I don't see, that's the thing. I don't think AOC is dumb. I think she acts. There's maybe those of you who would point out she's a woman. I hope in jest. I'm just teasing. But I think she behaves. She comes off a little bit as ridiculous. And in my business, I can't afford to look ridiculous. But I think she does that on purpose. She went to BU or Boston College, and she came from a wealthy family, or a well-off family anyway. She speaks 2 languages. Yeah, I don't think she's dumb. I don't think she's dumb. She's like her generation. She's undereducated, and she's not as knowledgeable as she should be. But I think she reads the room, and I think she knows how to use, she's semi-good looking. She's able to use that a little bit. She's able to use, I think, good brains. I think she's got good brains. But no, I don't think she'd make a good president. I don't think Patrick Byrne would do SEC chair, but that would be great. Am I worried that because I'm in American stock transfer, we might be locked out of getting a payout? No. The payout will not exceed the value of the shares, in my judgment, number one. Number two, if it does exceed the value of the shares, I think there'll be a true up to everybody that owns the shares, paid by the criminals and the brokerage system. Number three, the shock absorber, the group who is going to issue additional shares, if necessary, is Nexbridge. So I expect Nexbridge's raise to be at the same price that if there's a settlement. So that becomes the value, the most recent valuation, if I'm right, of the shares I own. The risks in owning the shares are that the play doesn't extend, product price, government regulation, I guess you got to add in, and I suppose there might be some legal risk, but otherwise, you've got an asset which is only getting better and better. You've got wells drilled. I forget now if it's 15 or 20. They found additional zones, layers. Think of a wedding cake, layers, and the icing is where the oil and the gas is. They found additional zones. They've got the shallow wells. Oil's at 100 almost, which, at some point it all goes to the bottom line. I think oil's going to come back in favor. So no, I'm happy to own my shares at AST. If your question is, would I rather get a cash payout immediately? Sure, maybe. But there's no, as much as I am sensing something's going on, there's no guarantee that there'll be a cash payout anytime soon. You remember, you're dealing probably with 200 lawyers. The longer it goes on, though, I think the better the asset gets. That's just my opinion. But I think I'm right. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. And I think higher oil prices changes the market completely. All of a sudden now, there's oil and gas companies going public. There's pools of money. It changes everything. And so you could get an acquisition, Pete, offer after all the releases and after a settlement that takes away class action risk. You could see an offer for the company, which is some combination of cash and stock, and you'll be very happy, and there won't be a tax consequence to the stock part. I guess I'd also point out to you, if a settlement involves more than just buying out shares, in other words, if it involves issuance of new shares by NextBridge to cover a overshoot, to be generous, in how many shares of MMTLP are not exchangeable. If it also includes a cash dividend, I think everyone will get that, and I think if you're at AST, you'll get it. So no, I'm not worried about it. Pete, I think I made my bed. If I were to call up and say return my shares to its MMTLP form, I don't think the brokerage firm would owe me anything. The deal was that if you bought the stock by that Thursday, the 8th, you had the 9th and the 12th in which to trade. Otherwise, and by the way, you'd have to get same day trading or T+1 anyway on Friday. Because once you went through the Thursday, it was record date. So, you can argue about all that. To me, that's all gone. You're not going to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I'm not sure you'd want to. MMTLP isn't anything, so who would buy it? But anyway, let's not get lost in that. But then what the system has to give you is one share of MMTLP for your one share of NextBridge for your share of MMTLP. In my opinion, it has to be undiluted. However, they've issued additional shares. They're at 260 million instead of 165 million. I think that still fits within their obligation to settle the trade. So if I went back, they'd say, hey, we gave you the stock. We honored it. And you might have an argument, yeah, but that was supposed to happen 10 months ago. And I think lawyers on their side would say, yeah, so what? You got the shares. What you couldn't sell them. So what difference? You got it late, yes. Now, if there's a pain and suffering in it, in a lawsuit or in a settlement, we might get that too. But no, Pete, I'm very happy to own the shares. I might be proven wrong. I'm hearing big numbers on the settlement offers, but I think it's all rumors. We don't know what the number really is. And there's a risk. Maybe it's not small and maybe it's not big, but there is a risk once all the shares are accounted for that MMTLP is tough luck Charlie. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm actually glad to be in Nextbridge. But you're right. It takes time. There is some risk there. If you got a big settlement, heck, I bet people would take $25, much less $250. Cash right now, sign the release, and here's your cash. That's a whole different experience than being in a private company where you have to wait and wait and wait. But I like oil and gas. I have for many, many, many years. So, no, I'm not worried about it at all. Just to summarize, Pete, whatever they pay out in cash, in my opinion, Nextbridge will be issuing shares at that price as well. And that becomes the value of my shares at AST. They will fluctuate, but so does the value of cash, and so does the value of whatever you put your cash in. All right, so Saggy Salamander is a shill. I don't have any news on MMTLP. I don't have any. Gina, it's just been my opinion that because the shares are in motion, the Senator Crapo, Congress are asking about it. It just feels like, and what, 10 months have gone by while lawyers have educated themselves. Number one, it feels like there is real risk to the brokerage firms of losing money. So their self-preservation kicks in. Secondly, I don't know what delaying is, how that's going to help the bad guys or the brokerage firms. Thirdly, what's a better time than now to try to come to an arrangement? You still have 3 or 4 months in the year. You have plenty of time to get releases. If it's a major settlement, you can write it off on this year's profits if you're a brokerage firm. So, Gina, I don't really have any news. It just feels like things are moving. That's all. That's more of an instinctual call than a factual call. Yeah, I agree. I think SEC, I think the canard of 1994 might have been later, the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act that argued that commodities, derivatives didn't need to be regulated because the markets could regulate themselves. And the further pushing that the SEC and FINRA can be legitimate self-regulatory organizations, I just think it's preposterous. It's preposterous. So AOC is a communist. I don't know. I don't know that she is. If you study communism, which you probably have, there's the argument that the only country in the world, or one of the only countries in the world, which could go communist to communism is the United States, because we've built up the wealth. I don't see her as a communist. I see her, though, if you're arguing, as a equality of outcomes gal. I think she is an equality of outcomes gal. I think people should have, as best as possible, particularly as it relates to education, they should have equal opportunity. And maybe that includes training in the trades and et cetera, equal opportunity. But then what you do with your opportunity, I don't know, that's the vicissitudes of life. And you can't protect everybody from that. I went in, I hope this doesn't, I share it, but I hope I don't offend God. But I went in 2 weeks ago and at the cathedral, and I went before the priest, and he was very nice. But I said, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." I haven't been, I said, "I don't know what to do." I haven't been to confession in 50 years. And he said, "Well, what's on your mind? What do you think about? What are your sins?" And one of my sins, and I mean it quite alarmingly to myself, is both in the world with the gifts that I think God gave me and with the opportunities he gave me. I think I squandered them. I didn't maximize them as I could have. And with having a family and getting married, God gave me chances, and it didn't happen. So I'm pretty serious about that I think you can be given equal opportunities, but then you're, as they say in the South, your own self, you can screw it up. And I don't think that it's the government's job to even everything out. And so maybe she's a communist in that sense. Possibly more of a Marxist, I don't know. But the whole country, whether communist or not, the whole country is living in illusion that all we have to, and it started with Dick Cheney, by the way. Dick Cheney, deficits don't matter. Well, our military is overstretched, overwoke, and I forget. We have 400 or 500 3-star generals now, or 5-star generals, or something like that. We had 3 in World War II, or something like that. I just remember the magnitude. Are we a lean, mean fighting machine? I don't know. I have no idea. Our financial system is full of fraud, but it's a con game. The dollar is a con game, a confidence game. So we keep printing it. How is that going to solve our problems? I just don't see how that's going to solve our problems. Just keep printing. Now, you could, that argument has been made since Ronald Reagan ran the debt over $1 billion. Or the deficit. I can't remember. Jimmy Carter had it down and Reagan ran it up. And we haven't paid the penalty for it. Well, in that whole framework, interest rates were low. and we can discuss that. I'm not going to right now. Oil prices remained relatively inexpensive for the whole time, and we were able to expand our financial markets by trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, debt, all of it. Our banking system became our biggest industry. Well, I don't think we have that anymore. So anyway, I'm getting off topic. I don't think she's a communist. I just think she believes that we can pay for anything by printing more money. And it makes no sense to me. We still are a strong country. We could have jobs. We could have people could still work hard. And we're still arguably the greatest country in the world. But we got to get our act straight. AOC is not eligible to run for president. Well, that'll change in 2 years. Condoleezza Rice should run for president. I'm not going to comment. AOC is a communist. All right. You made your point. You made your point. Socialista. And somebody else has spelled out something else that AOC is. Did you know Cryptic Trader is my moderator? No, I don't remember. I had some moderators. Why is that good or bad? I don't know. What's going on with MMTLP? There are several lawyers that have been and continue to make filings in court. Richard Hoffman, Rosa, Howard, Mark Bazile, I think, still works on the side issues. Wes Christian, that's going on. There are probably dozens of hardworking people that join space calls, go to Congress, write to Congress. There's probably hundreds of people that phone in to Congress. That's ongoing. Senators and congressmen are asking Gary Gensler for the blue sheets, basically, the total count. For the last 2 months or so, 6 weeks, the brokerage firms have been moving shares upon request from the client's account to American Stock Transfer. How long is that going to go on? I don't know. But in my speculation, it feels like almost anyone that asks to move their shares is getting it approved, which feels like, speculation on my part, NextBridge is actually accepting more than how many shares are available. That feels like the initial part of a negotiation, which will be whatever the settlement price is, the system is going to pay for those shares from NextBridge. That's what it feels like. It also goes along with the strategy I put out in video 10 months ago. But it takes everyone, I'm not saying I'm a genius, it just takes everyone has to go through the steps to get to what was blazingly obvious as a settlement to me. But I'm not saying I'm a genius. So things are in motion. What's going on with MMTLP? I'd say MMTLP is a non-entity. There's no company, there's no officers, so nothing is really going on with MMTLP. NextBridge is improving its value. There are rumors all over Twitter that some kind of offer has been made for shares. I like what I understand Richard Hoffman believes. I too, and I'll speak for myself, I can't believe any offers have been made. I think maybe lawyers on one side might have called the lawyer on the other side and, hey, my client's willing to consider X amount. Would your clients be willing? And it's not really, an offer has to be probably written in this case, maybe an oral. It's securities law, but I think there's so much risk here. It would have to be written, and it would probably have to be reduced to writing. A document, and then signed by. And I don't think we're at that point. What's going on with MMTLP? That's about all I can think of, Albert. That's about all. I wouldn't get your hopes up. But at some point, there'll be momentum on the financial side to get a settlement done. Personally, I feel we're there, but that's gut instinct. I have no knowledge. Do you, Saggy? I gotta stop reading Saggy. How long before Wes Christian does something? I assume he's doing something all along. I think he's made headway. The last rumors I heard is that he had a market maker that wants to give up the ghost. He had one or two whistleblowers, but they wanted to be paid. Well, who's going to pay them? GTII? So that hasn't gone anywhere yet. But the legal system is like the World Bank. Once you're in it, things move S L O W L Y. The best chance to blow all of this out of the water is to cost a prime broker its very existence because it ran out of money. I like that idea. Well, that's it. And Thomas, I think Greg McCabe, one of the advantages we have here, he's going to insist on what he wants. But I think at the end of anything he signs, it's going to say it has to be offered to everyone. I don't know that. I'm trying to read tea leaves here, but I don't know that. Yeah, I got to go walk him. First Trade wants to charge me $250. Brenda, I think it's okay if you leave them alone for now. It sounds like a settlement is possible, which is further along than a few months ago, but there's no guarantee. But I tell you, it's out in the open. Lawyers now have their arms around how big of a problem it is. I think something happens, so I think you're going to get a settlement. But I think you can tell First Trade, call them up and say, hey, this is something you should have done in the beginning. Why are you charging me? This should have happened automatically on Wednesday, or was it the following Wednesday? So it's not my issue, First Trade, it's yours. So if you really want to go to AST for no money, just stick to your guns. They shouldn't be charging you for it. They should eat it. It's something, if you bought your shares through First Trade, well, whoever that is, it's something they should have delivered. And I'll tell you what, you're going to save them a lot of money, because if once you go to AST, they're not going to owe you anything in a settlement. For the most part. I mean, pain and suffering, there might be a little bit. Yeah, Bill Clinton removed Glass-Steagall. Absolutely. I mean, Bill Clinton did more. Bill Clinton was the best Republican president we've ever had on those issues. Best Republican president we ever had. Because you remember the third way, and I got to be liked? His father was an alcoholic. I could run with Trump and be VP. See, I think I'd get along with the guy. Yeah, that would be great. I'm not sure either one of them could work with each other, but I think it would be great if they could. Well, I know that's the argument leader, but I'm a Catholic, and I didn't find anything in the process that I went that I wasn't comfortable with. In fact, I thought he was a saintly man, the priest. Trump's going to go with Noam because she's hot and smart. Well, she's not young. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think he could go with Donalds, or he's too young, though. Or Anna Paulina Luna is young, but she's too young. Or that guy from South Carolina, Tim Scott. Those would be interesting choices. I don't know what the governor of South Dakota does for the ticket. I don't know. You might be right. There you go. She's ignorant. Jimmy Carter, a joke of a person. Well, I don't agree with that. I think Jimmy Carter was George H.W. Bush, maybe you'd include too. But I think Jimmy Carter was the last statesman we had as president. And I think Jimmy Carter did a lot of good. And ironically, he was more, he deregulated airlines, deregulated energy, although he had a confusing two-tier price system for oil that carried over, I think, from Nixon. And then he had something with natural gas. You had old natural gas and new natural gas. Kind of confusing. But he emphasized nuclear power, which I'm now question. There were no wars started under Jimmy Carter. He was fiscally conservative, and no, I don't agree with you. He was not a joke of a person. I think he actually is a tremendous person, and he stuck by his beliefs. He worked hard, and I couldn't disagree with you more. I think Jimmy Carter is a great man. Yeah, my modeling career as Sears. What were we called? Anyway, I was in the Sears catalog. Hey, Cryptic, I didn't know. Thank you for being here. And you don't, I'm not, don't feel overburdened. Brenda, I don't think you have to pay that fee. Yeah, Jimmy Carter was honorable, and I think he still is. Well, that's true. Trump hasn't been with the same woman, and that's true. Let me read that. I might not read that out loud, leader, because I don't want to make this offensive to anybody. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. He did ask me, do you pray? So anyway, I don't think the distinction is as great, but it is a sacrament, and he does give you, he says things in it. Anyway, I highly recommend it. I was nervous about it, but and I always saw the contradiction in it, in the sense that you could still go do those same sins again. But I've come to believe that the Catholic Mass, the Catholic Church, is a prayer, and everything about it is a prayer. And I think going to confession is a prayer. It's asking for mercy. Jimmy Carter is 99, actually, Dr. McClevin. He's 99 years old. 99 years old, and I think it's September 28th. But he's 99 years old, and he's probably not going to make it to 100. Yeah, KYP. I don't know if you're going to find anybody. I know one other person on Wall Street, but I totally support and like Jimmy Carter. It's interesting, though, when Ted Kennedy ran against him, in the final stages of that, I was rooting for Kennedy, because I think Ted Kennedy's flawed, but I think Kennedy fought the good fight. I think Jimmy Carter fought the good fight. And I think there might have been some treason involved with the negotiations with Iran, that historians will have to sort out. But I think the deal that was made with Iran regarding the American prisoners, so that Reagan would get elected, it came very close to the line. Well, and he, you probably don't know, but he gives whatever it's called, Baptist, every Sunday. He runs the. Well, here we go again. Oh, it's October 1. I thought it was October 1, Deacon. But then I saw in the news that he was celebrating his birthday, and it was September 28th. But I thought it was October 1. That was what was in my head all this time. I met Jimmy Carter, too. I met Rosalind Carter. So it's this weekend, Deacon Blues. So my apologies. It's coming. I read in the news that he had already turned 99. So that's that fake news. America needs a leader, not a cheerleader. we need a pitcher, not a belly itcher. That's what I have to say to that, Skinny Whale. All right, I'm gonna go walk my dog. I wish everyone blessings. I'm just looking at the finger motion. Remember this on September 11th? September 11th for finger motion. So I don't like DeSantis. Ugh. Blick. Blick is what I have to say about DeSantis. I wonder who it'll be. We'll find out. All right, so I wish everyone peace, love, and happiness. By the way, that was the other part that the priest told me. I didn't tell you what he said I had to do, but one part of it was to pray for peace in the world. And I do encourage everyone to do that, pray for peace in the world. And maybe that'll help get me into heaven. 570. All right. Didn't Ham say it could go to 6 by the close of trading today? All right, everyone. I'm going to go walk the boy, and we'll catch you later. I've got to try to fix this and all that, but we'll get there. So cheers, and sleep tight.